He works with us here at the city, and he's going to be walking us through a presentation on Civic Center Public Art. I think Alvin, you said it was okay to interject with questions at some point.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly show you the project, got a lot of slides. I'm going to go through them. I think, since it's a small group, feel free to interject, ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. And then when we get to the end, if you have more questions, great.
Perfect. Okay, Alvin, if you'd like to go ahead and get started.
Wonderful. You want to do just a quick, maybe an introduction? I'm Alvin Wong, I'm the project manager for the design of the project. And then Nathan, you probably just met possibly.
Yeah, I work here in the city manager's office, and I'm also the admin on the RFP.
And then Lupi.
Marietta.
No, you're what's your?
I'm the graphic designer for this.
Thank you.
/ videographer today.
All right.
Okay.
We still want to know who you are.
Oh, I'm Kara Reddick. I'm a deputy city manager.
Oh, okay.
And then I think Nan and Cheryl both, you probably know who.
We just met them today, so if we could just go through one more time.
Yes, I'm chair for the Committee of the Arts, Nan Mahan.
Okay,
And I'm Cheryl Bryce, vice chair of the Committee for the Arts.
okay. And we also just met Judy.
I'm the peanut gallery, along with you.
Okay. My name's Renee Villa, and I got this message last night. I didn't realize I wasn't signed up for the newsletter and all that stuff, so I'm signed up now, so I shouldn't miss. I was going to come on Thursday, and I emailed you. It's Tuesday. I'm a teacher in Elk Grove. I've been teaching for 20 years, Isabel Jackson Elementary School, and I've been in the classroom for a long time. I just got into the computer. I'm a computer resource teacher now, so I do a lot of the video, graphic design, that kind of stuff. But I do still teach my students. I see every kid once a week. And I'm also in the Army Reserve, so I do graphic design. I'm a multimedia illustrator in the Army. I love it. There's no better MOS in the military. So I've been in there a while as well. So my father's a Stefan Villa, so we painted a lot of murals with my dad. I think some of you know him. And very active in the Chicano community in the 60s. And he's got several murals he's painted downtown. The Metamorphosis, a big 4-story mural on the Macy's parking lot, and the J Street tunnel to Old Sacramento. That's one of his, and a few others in the area, all the way down to San Diego, right? Chicano Park. And so my brother and I have been painting with my dad ever since we were little. So we kind of feel like maybe now it's our turn, maybe it's our turn to leave our dad out of it, and maybe we should, be painting murals on our own, because I don't think we've done, a big one on our own yet. But we're excited about all these opportunities for art, public art in Elk Grove. And Sacramento's had it for a long time. Now it's time for Elk Grove. Just keep pushing it. And so very exciting. So Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan. I'm also
Two Nathans.
I'm artist, teacher, and mainly here to support Renee today. It's all kind of new to me, but anxious for the opportunities.
Wonderful. All right. Great. Ready to dig right in? Awesome. Okay. Great. So today the topic is the public art at the new Civic Center, the proposed Civic Center. And this is an overview of the design, the ultimate design, as well as what we're installing now in terms of the extent of the project. And then also going over, giving you an idea of the inspirations for the design of this. So, like this said, and move to the next slide. So that's the agenda. We're going to talk about design teams, and feel free to research them, reach out to them. They're very reputable firms, great firms. And then we'll go a little bit into the project information, design inspiration. We'll look at the public arts plan exhibit, which is in the RFP packet. And we'll talk a little bit about construction and the progress, current progress, and then we'll have some more questions in the end there. We'll just cooperate a little bit. There we go. So those are our 3 design teams. The Civic Center Common Site and the Master Plan is by the SWA Group, and they are a landscape architecture firm out of the Bay Area. And then the Aquatic Center is designed by ELS Architecture and Urban Planning out of Berkeley, California. And then the Community Senior Center with Veterans Memorial Hall is by Group 4 Architecture Research and Planning, and they're out of South San Francisco. And this new Civic Center site, I wanted to just kind of show you you probably already know, but for those that may be from out of town, the black dot right there is the location of the project, and it's very central to the city of Elk Grove. And this zooms in on the site. And the streets are Bighorn, north and south to the west side, and then on the north side, the east and west street is Civic Center Drive, and then down to the south is bounded by Lots Parkway with Cosumnes Oaks High School right across the street there, and then we're bounded by residential developments to the east and to the west. Then on the north side is some open property, mostly undeveloped. The city owns that 20-something acres to the north. It's all commercial development, and then the falls is right about there. And you'll see the site constraints include a water treatment plant and a little well right here. There. So this is the ultimate master plan. Not everything is funded, but I wanted to share with you the vision of how this ultimately would look. So what you see is a site design with all majority of the dense uses, the bigger buildings to the north, sort of on the northern edge against Civic Center Drive, and with the aquatics because it's a lower scale, a little bit further to the south. And then as the site moves, as you move southward, the site begins to sort of change into a less dense development, becomes more park-like, and ultimately becomes actually a park. And this is a pedestrian-oriented campus design. So if you notice, there's actually a large parking lot on the west side, and then a smaller parking lot on the east side. And they don't ever cross or connect by design, so that this entire area in between, all the way down here, all the way around, is pedestrian oriented. You won't have to worry about cars. You sort of go into this more structured design on the north, and as you filter down, it becomes more organic, so the trails become a little bit looser without form. And this is organized on 3 arcs, arc promenades of pedestrian arcs, and there's one of them right there. Ultimately takes you down to the future development. There's a second one that's sort of known as the Commons right here, takes you through, and there's a great outdoor area right here that's about 100 feet wide, and I don't recall the length of it, but it's big enough to actually accommodate more than 100 pop-up tents for various events and functions. So it's sort of like the outdoor civic plaza, and then it's bounded on this side with a great fountain spray ground. It's actually a really, really nice one that is flush to the ground. It has different color lights, and it actually each head can be controlled individually. So to a lot of things. Yeah.
It's good to see.
Yeah. And then this arc sort of leads into the aquatics project right here. There's 3 bodies of water. We'll go into a little bit more detail later. I just wanted to point that out right there. And then this is part of our funded project. And then number 2, this community senior center is actually part of our project too. A little bit of this isn't here anymore. This is actually the old Veterans Hall, and it's actually rolled into this project here. So what you'll see, what's here actually here in the enlargement is actually going to be a veterans park of some sort. So there'll be a flag display, picnic tables, barbecue, and things like that. But as the site, as you move further down into the site, it becomes more trails, and you'll notice that the walkways are less structured and meanders. There's a great meadow in the future down here. Park elements, I think riparian habitat. This is so the remnants of the old wetlands here, and maybe the idea is that gets possibly restored or some form integrated into this site. There's a couple of future buildings. This is the children's Discovery Museum down the road, and a little science center down on this side. And then we'll have nature trails, probably some informative signs and some other elements down the road. And then we'll go to, let's go, there we go. So zoomed in a little bit, there's that water treatment facility right there, and we're zoomed in, and this is what's funded. This is what's funded in this first part of the project. And as we zoom in here, you'll notice that there's the Veterans Park right there. You'll see the little dots right there are the flag displays. The U.S. flag and the military branches, and there's picnic tables and so forth there. And as we zoom in, you could see a little bit more detail of the fountain spray ground number 5 right here. And then you see these little darker color. They're actually built-in tables. There's loose seating, umbrellas, tables, chairs, and other elements that would activate this space. This community center, senior center, and veterans hall has a bunch of outdoor seating, umbrellas. There's a fire pit over here, right there. Bocce ball right there. And there's actually a little bit of a pop-up tent city for the swimming crowd. And this is a rendering taken from near the future library, sort of in the upper northwest corner. You see the spray grounds to your right a little bit there. That's the aquatics building further down. This just looks down the promenade arc right here, and to the left you'll see the future library, and the senior community center is right there. Probably get a better view of it in the next image here. So this is senior community and veterans hall. It has a cafe outside with some outdoor seating. We've got these great wide concrete walkways on either side, which could be used for a variety of things, including the same rendering. So this would be what it would look like with some pop-up tents for, say, a farmer's market. You would get them on both sides too, so you'll see some on the other side here. And then it's sort of joined by a great lawn that could be used for a variety of activities.
And the lawn is where some of the future art pieces are going to be located.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And then this is some of the imagery that we see. Everything we've seen is a rendering. So this is some imagery that would apply to the design of our project here. You see some activity that could be lawns could be used for, outdoor seating, umbrellas, walkways, a little more structured. As you get further down in the site, they're a little more loose and less structured. Naturalized landscaping, a lot of this would be further to the south. This is that sort of wetlands riparian habitat. And then, of course, the trees on this project, we actually went to great lengths to save a handful of very mature valley oaks out there. We'll get a chance to see that a little bit later. And I want to also mention that this project actually has 200 new oak trees that are actually of significant size. And then this is some imagery of what is more located along the commons. Some overhead lighting. This would be between in the commons area, between the aquatics building and the community center, where you would have the majority of the loose and structured seating. Idea of fire pits as gathering spots. Here's an image of, this is actually a piece of artwork at a different project, but we see that as part of this whole commons and outdoor space. And we actually have a platform outside just north of the fountain for a small band that could play when the fountain's turned off. Once again, bocce ball right there. And this is sort of some of the visions for the seating outdoors. So we'll have a lot of loose furniture and chairs and some colored and some different materials. Wood comes into play on a lot of these organic type materials, umbrellas and patio tables and so forth. And this is the plan of the aquatics facility. The aquatic facility has 3 bodies of water. It has a 50-meter Olympic pool right here, and it has a smaller 6-lane lessons pool right here, and then we have a slide structure, a recreational pool with a lazy river and a 0 depth entry here, like you've seen a lot of, and then nice outdoor plaza, outdoor spaces here for lounging, and also what's shown in this little hatched or dashed line is actually a signature canopy, and it sort of organizes this building. The elements organize around that, so it kind of marks the entry, brings you in, provides shade. One thing I should mention is that this pool is actually sunk down almost 5 feet to form a terrace seating around it. So it's almost like a little mini stadium. Get a better view here. So this is an overhead view. You can see the fountain spray grounds outside. And this is the building here, and then this is the entry, and this trellis element just runs straight through here and sort of bisects the building. And this is the major circulation for this project inside. And then this is a photo of that entry from the pedestrian eye level here. So you can walk in here. It's secured. It's a secured facility, so you'll have some fence enclosures that you've got to walk through after you pay. And the transaction windows here. Materials. This is actually a very nice sort of sand yellow color architectural block wall. One thing I'd like to point out, and you'll probably see a little bit better as we go to the aerial or the animation, is that these are this is the architect's sort of kind of an idea that sort of lets the building represent a little bit of the water, shimmering effect of water. So these are actually custom light fixtures that are inset into the concrete. And as this pattern goes on, sort of a random pattern, but they get a little bit lighter as you go. Sort of like when a drop of water hits a water, you have sort of these little rings that go out and dissipate. So it's kind of a imagery that imagery is used for those lights there. And then this is the plan of the building to the north, the community center, with the senior center and veterans hall. And to the right is the wing for the senior center and the veterans hall. And then to the left is the main hall that's accessible by the public, could be rented by the public for various functions. It's joined together by a common lobby here. And we'll get a little bit better view of that, but this is all glass here, and quite a bit of glass actually all around the building. But what I was trying to say is that it's actually a see-through lobby. So even from the street, you look through, and you'll actually see the suspended piece right here through the lobby. And I want to mention that this is the mural on the inside. This is a solid mural wall on the inside there. This is taken from the Civic Center side. As you walk down and look down towards the main entry there, you can kind of see the glass and entry on the commons side. And to the left is the senior center and veterans wing. And to the right is the main hall. These buildings are designed to actually let you have glimpses into the commons area from the street. So this main hall actually has a large window in the middle there, a door system that actually opens up to the outside. So if you have a live band playing, you can actually have additional seating on the outside, and people can look through and see inside. And then you can do the same here, look through the hall here down into the commons. A little closer view of that. This is just zoomed up a little bit, and this is the main lobby where the suspended piece would be. And this is just moving to the west a little bit. This is the view of the main hall facing the Civic Center Drive, and this is that window system that would be able to be opened up if there's actually a little platform that's on both sides, the inside of the building and the outside of the building. So if one chooses to do so, you can actually open that up and have an event that also takes place on the outside and utilizes the outdoor patio space. And then this is the view from the common side, so opposite the street. This is that commons. You've seen a few renderings earlier on. This is what this building looks like. So there's a cafe here. This is the main entry that we were just viewing from the opposite side a moment ago. And then further to the right here is the main entry to the senior center wing. And so you see there's a lot of activation of the outdoor space, especially along the edge, the southern edge of this edge of the building against the commons. So plenty of loose seating. There's going to be built-in seating. The bocce ball course is year-round. That'll be built in. There's a fire pit. Let's see. There's a fire pit right over here. There's the fire pit right there. So it's actually quite a big fire pit. Probably get 20 people around there. And then these are some of the materials that were selected. A lot of it is earthy colors, earthy material, sand based, brick, clay, native to our area. So those are all materials that are found either here or not too far away. And then some accents include terracotta. We have a great terracotta manufacturer just north of here in Lincoln, as you're probably aware. And of course, wood and brick too. And these are just some zoomed up, sort of the palette that's been adopted for this Civic Center master plan. You could select from a multitude of those. And then here's an aerial view taken from the corner. And the buildings to the left haven't been designed, so they're just shown as a mass. But if you come up here, you'll notice how big the space. There's a fountain to the left. There's the entry. And if you look at the lights, they kind of dissipate as it goes south along that curved wall. There's the black band platform right there to the left. And this is the commons here. And then this is a little bit different rendering for the community center. So on the left edge is the aquatics. You'll see the commons in the middle. There's the main entry to the commons, from the commons into the community center. And then there's the roof, the high roof on the left. That's the main hall. You'll see all the outdoor seating and that walkway along the south edge. This is the service side. And then there's the main hall that opens out into the street side. And there's additional outdoor space for tables and chairs. And this is the main entry with the senior center and veterans hall wing to the left. That's the drop-off area right in the front there. That's the classrooms for the senior center. We'll come back around again. We're right about where the Veterans Park is. And this edge right here is a drop off for that's a small parking lot. You can see the flags. The parking there. So construction schedule. You probably are already aware that the site has been rough graded and they're out there. They're about to put in pipes and so forth. The commons and the common site and aquatic center will be done May 25th of next year, about a year from now, a little less than a year. And the community senior center and veterans memorial hall is scheduled to begin construction in the spring of 2018. So we're working on the final design right now. We'll go into permitting soon, complete about a year later in spring of 2019. Then what you see in the red there is what's currently under construction right now. And then what you see in the blue there is been graded, but that won't start construction until spring of 2018. And this is taken about a month ago from the north parcel. So there's your Veterans Park right here. There's the driveway into the small parking lot here. You can begin to see the early stages of the sunken Olympic pool right here. And then the rec pools, this round one here. And then the lessons pools right there. can kind of see the pedestrian arcs that come through right there. Also over here, and then the beginning of the large parking lot here. I want to point out here that these are the trees that we've saved and we've designed around. So these up front here are Valley Oaks, and the Civic Center, or the community center, was designed in an L shape to actually respond to the site and work around the trees. So we have these great trees that will remain and be part of our project when it's done, and we're going to plant 200 additional trees, same kinds that'll be not quite as big, but about as big as I think you can buy them. And then this exhibit is the location of the art pieces in the RFP. You've seen this, and we've talked about the lobby right here, the ceiling hung piece inside the two interior pieces, and then the mural here, and then we've got the outdoor pieces out here. And with that, I just wanted to see if you had any questions. That was the project overview.
Nice job. That's a beautiful plan. So it's just going to be amazing. I have a question. The outdoor, on that last slide, the outdoor spots that you chose, are those stuck right there, or can they be maybe moved to a slightly different area along that lot, or is that pretty much where we'd like to see them?
I think that was what was recommended by the Committee for the Arts, and council approved it. I think though, given the scale, I mean, this is 100 feet across, so there's a little bit of latitude to move I think within this area. The thing that would probably constrain it a little bit is that all the underground utilities that we're coordinating right now, we're working around their sites so that these could exist where they're shown, about where they're shown.
How many structures are in that series in the Commons?
The art pieces.
Art pieces. Yeah.
So these number 5 here, Judy, the number 5 are the sculptural pieces, and there's 4 of them right there, and then there's one right here under the big existing oak tree, and then there's one right here at the drop-off area. And then there are 2 additional pieces, the iconic sculptural piece right here, and this is the, correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, this is the interactive piece too, I think, lighting, and it's meant to be interactive. It's the nicest or the biggest budget piece, and it's right in the middle where everybody passing through could take advantage of it. And then number 4 here is a little bit more front and center. This is the kinetic sculpture. This is the one that we've been referring to as Delta Breeze, and where Delta Breeze is a great thing in our community here, especially yesterday, right, last night. And then there are 2 interior pieces we talked about earlier.
I thought we had decided not to do a fire pit.
I was a little surprised too. I didn't know that was a.
Yeah, the fire. It was I think when we first presented it to you, we weren't sure if it was in the budget. I think is what it was.
I think the committee found it useless.
It's not going to be art.
Yeah,
piece.
it's not an art piece.
It's not.
Actually
It's not
just,
part of the art component.
It's not part of the art.
No.
And where's it located within the
Because usually those things pretty soon they're unattended. There's no fire,
right.
And they could be a hazard. Children put their fingers in it. I just
Where's it located?
Right there.
Wait, I'm lost. Oh, right.
Yeah, right there. You see where? It's sort of like a gathering table. If you can imagine, it's basically a long rectangular table with an opening in the middle where the fire is. So there's a little bit of a flat space in between, and there's seating all around it. And so we've got some. It's not part of your art budget, but it's something that we included, and it worked out as far as the construction budget goes.
as long as it's not ours, we don't have a lot to say. But if it were ours, we had voted against that. Also, I want to commend you on all the coverings for the tables and all, because people want shade, and it looks like you have a lot of it there, and I think that looks
plus 200 more trees.
So I think it's all very
Consider all
good.
that.
I also remember, however, and it didn't seem like it in the picture, maybe I just didn't see it, but every platform has to have a covering.
It's-
So that people are not
Yes,
speaking or
Yes.
playing or whatever, and everybody around them's in the shade, but they're in the sun.
yeah, absolutely, Nan. So it wasn't shown here, but we do have actually a canopy structure over. Let's go over here. To the little platform just north of the fountains. We do have a canopy structure, and it's actually a very nice steel structure, but with the fabric canopy that you can remove during the winter time because you want some sun in there. But we do have that absolutely right over here.
And there's going to be more platforms, and they will all be covered, right?
Yeah, this one has a trellis. This one has a trellis to it, but this one I think has the amenity of some nice mature trees on it, and it's north facing too.
So, as I recall, the trellis is behind them so that it keeps the sun off from the back.
Correct.
Off the
Correct.
back.
Yep.
Which is something people don't normally think about unless they're the one standing up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
It's mounted right on the building.
and I think you reiterated that there would be electrical outlets on all the platforms and in other
Yes.
places.
Yes, there's the canopy over the platform on the north side. Yeah, and then we actually have more than just electrical. We have a 100 amp panel, so if you want to rock out with a band, you could do that.
Good.
You would be surprised.
I'm not surprised.
Question. I noticed that there are art announcing most of the major areas and approaches. I didn't notice anything by the aquatics.
There is nothing inside the aquatics.
Within that area of the,
Yeah, because it's a fenced-in area. Let me see if I can go. So let me actually get to the art exhibit. There it is, right here. So the aquatics is it's a little hard to see, but this is the outside wall of the aquatics right here, the building. Just follow my cursor there, and then it comes across, and then right here it becomes a wrought iron fence, I believe, right here. And it's an 8 feet high fence, and by code we're required to
right,
secure the pool area, and it comes all the way down here, and then it comes across here, and then it comes back, and it ties back to a block wall here. So this is once again the building right here, and it's I think this might have been discussed in one of our earlier meetings, but not necessarily discussed out. But I think that it was the idea is that because you have to pay to get inside the aquatics to use the facility, and the fact that it's a sort of a more wet environment with chlorine and some other chemicals, it probably wasn't the best place for public art.
Right.
And public art is free and meant to be enjoyed. I think that's what was the discussion.
Can you tell me what?
where you said there was a sculptural cover over the recreational pool of some sort?
Not the pool. The cover's over the platform, the performing platform right here.
And it's kind of a sculptural piece, you said?
I wouldn't really call it art, but it's a very nice looking piece. It's a steel trellis structure that has the ability to. We have the fabric, this umbrella fabric that gets pulled tighter around there. I think we looked at a lot of different options, and we I think the committee, if I recall correctly, we even talked about some more metal type, but with bands playing, it wasn't the best acoustics. So I think that the fabric and a steel structure was better. And then during the winter time, when you might want some sun in there, then you have the ability to remove the fabric.
Can you show me once again where the fountain is?
Yeah, the fountain is right.
I like the look of that fountain.
It's actually this triangular
Big
piece.
show.
Yes.
This is what we were trying to describe. It's actually a very large area. Maybe I can go to the rendering. It might show it a little bit better. it actually is a very, very large area. Maybe if I just played this animation. You can look at the scale of the people relative to the actual concrete area. We'll turn around here in a minute and see it. But the fountain is a multi-use space. So the thought is that when these fountain, these jets are actually flush to the concrete, and you just see a very small orifice. What happens is that during the summertime, you could turn the fountain off, and the water drains back into this holding vault under the ground, and you let the sun. There's no standing water. You just let the sun dry out the concrete. You put seating out there, and that seating could serve as the seating for a band performance. Yeah, or a band or something all on that platform.
If it's not too hot, so they can stand there.
We can always turn the fountain back on. And you're seating out
Oh,
there.
yeah, you can do
That'd
that.
be kind of cool, actually. It sounds kind of weird, but it might.
Oh,
Performing art, right?
some performing art would be nice there, yeah.
Let's see if I can do it better.
Although you don't want them to be, tortured in the sun.
But it's the intent was that it is a multi-function plaza. So
You could probably even put a portable tent up there if it came to that.
absolutely, I think we talked about that as well too, and the tents are really arranged along the 100 or so tents are along these arcs here and on the other side. But certainly, if the fountain wasn't on, I mean, this could be the focal point of a farmer's market. I mean, you could set up just about anything there. It's really a large, multi-use open plaza.
And the fountain is recycled, the water's recycled, right?
It is recirculated, yes. So there's actually a huge holding tank underneath, and it gets cleaned and purified like a commercial pool, and then gets sprayed up, and then it just goes back in. Yeah, and then we have the ability to control it, so we can turn it off at any time, whatever schedule. It's actually got RGB lights inside the fountain too, so you can actually during Christmas time, if you wanted to arrange a performance with whatever colored lights, I mean, you can do that.
That'd be great. And yeah, 4th of July, you can have red, white, and blue
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
There are 47 jets, and there's spaced about, I believe, about 8 feet in one direction and 5.5 in the other direction.
You know, St. Patrick's Day, it could be green.
Absolutely, the sky's the limit. This is something that we were trying to describe to you, and I think we didn't do a good job of it. But that you could do a lot of things with it. You could have a contest for high school kids to come up with a pattern and something, and the winning selection could be played for a month. I mean, there's just a lot of opportunities that you can engage the community with something like that.
Sounds good.
So I have some questions for you. We're videoing this, so I was hoping that maybe we could have a little bit of dialogue on some information that, what are some things that you would like a potential artist to know about a specific piece, or that that you think would be structurally helpful for them to know, that perhaps you could share it and we can go ahead and have it posted?
Sure.
It might be.
Sure. No, I think that's a great question. I think that it would be nice to know from the artist what, like if it's, for example, the supporting piece in the lobby, we would want to know, how heavy it is and what types of support in order for us to coordinate the structure of the building to accept that.
So that would be
piece.
interior B, right? The wall.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And for the outdoor ones, I think it isn't as critical, but it would be nice to know if they have heavy foundations or footings, whether they need lights. We do have conduit in preparation or in anticipation of this public art. We do have electrical conduits out there, but it would be nice to know what type of electricity, if it's 120, 277, if they need lights underneath there, if the feature, the art piece needs any other sort of utilities brought to that location, because right now we haven't poured the concrete, so if they need a drain or something, we can add it there, but it gets a little more difficult when the concrete gets built and poured in place. So those are the things we want to know what kind of utilities and support they need on their piece, and we'd be happy to work with them to get them what they need.
Also, I would imagine how they intend to transport the item to the actual site
Sure.
would be good information as well. And
Sure.
The mural, particularly the one in interior B, can be pretty large.
Sure.
So how they intend to get that in there, whether they
Sure.
want to do it in segments or not.
Yeah, or they paint it on the wall. I mean, we'll work with them. I think I'm less concerned about being able to bring it in to the community center. I think there's quite a few double doors and large openings that they can bring it in. But on the exterior pieces, we'd like to know how high, generally how tall. I know there's parameters in here, but we'd like to know if there's a submission that it defines the envelope a little bit better for us, because we'd like to coordinate. Say, for example, the new trees. Sometimes if this piece is a little bit taller, we may want to adjust some of the trees to allow this piece to be more prominent, and so as not to conflict with landscaping. So all that information really relates to structural and utilities. Yeah, and size.
I think we also want to point out that some of the pieces have specific themes that the Committee for the Arts was interested in seeing. And there are 2 different time frames for the RFP based on kind of the location of it. So if it's in the community center, it has a little bit, the RFP is still due at the same time, but the process moving forward is a little bit different.
Yeah, the final installation will
Final
be later.
decision.
Is there a copy of the RFP available? Thank you.
And then Alvin, just as a recap, you talked about the future of the senior center and that would be, when do we anticipate starting construction?
So that one, we anticipate starting construction in spring of 2018.
Spring of 2018.
Yeah, with about a year, a little bit more than a year construction duration.
Just mention that because a couple of the pieces are actually going in that way.
Absolutely.
So there would be different timelines for those particular submissions.
Yes.
Kind of more just saying that so it's
Sure.
My question was, any of this whole design here, or this whole thing, was any of it modeled after the new arena? Just the way that they ask for artists, and they have the different murals and sculptures and hanging pieces, because the new arena has almost done it the same way, and we went through that process of submitting for some ideas in there, and it was a big turnout, lots of artists, and so it feels like that, and I like that because there was so many opportunities, and some themes that they had asked for, and others, what do you got? So I don't know, I like it, and just wondering if it had been modeled after that at all, just the whole arena.
I'm not sure. This came straight from the committee. I think the committee decided this is how they'd like to see it, and it might be just by coincidence.
Yeah. It's a lot like
Well,
that.
are you talking about when they did the call for artists? Is that what you're talking about? That's a pretty standard thing for most art in most cities
Okay.
that have some project. It's pretty standard that they do
To
it.
have a variety, a hanging piece, an outdoor
Yeah,
piece,
right.
a smaller piece.
and then, and it goes to the art committee or commission of that city.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I saw an image of a skateboarder. Is the idea to invite skateboarders or find ways to to keep them, away. I saw the image. Did you see that skateboarder in there? Is that open to, high schoolers coming through, or are you adding things that would discourage them?
I think generally speaking, we've not made a delineation in the commons as far as bicyclists and skateboarders or even pedestrian traffic, because on all the entries we will have bike racks. But I think when we obviously don't want skateboarders running into people, or we're not trying to encourage skateboarders to come and ride the seat walls or anything like that. So I think it's a fine line. We don't like the idea of having those devices. I think they look a little bit funny, and they always seem to look like a retrofit. So I think maybe just from an operational standpoint, we like to maybe manage it a little bit differently to encourage certain uses and not encourage other uses.
From this vantage point, would it be possible to maybe mouse over a potential location for art, just kind of in this purview?
Yeah, let's see. This one, it's a little bit difficult, but the signature piece would be about right there. And then I think there's another piece right here, or maybe where we're standing right here. Actually, no, not right there, because that's the fountain. Let me just go back to the artist. So let's just use it. This is our spray ground right here. And so we're going to have a piece. That view was probably taken about right where number 5 is. So we were probably standing, that perspective viewpoint, we're probably standing right where the art piece, this art piece is. And then as we look further down across this little patch right here, there's another piece there, and then the one that's more central is right here. So let's go back to the rendering. So this one, a little bit hard to see, but I believe this is the central area. So there is a piece probably right underneath, let's see, this is a cafe. So it'll probably be a piece right about there in the middle. And then this is the same view. So yeah, that's the large tree right there. So the piece would be right behind this person standing right here. That would be that central piece. And then this is we're standing about where one piece is, the sculptural piece is about right here. There's another one that's about right there in that patch right there. And then further down is where the more central iconic piece is, probably in line with this aquatics building, right about down there. And then since this is a fountain, it's just outside of the view, but the Delta Breeze one would be right about out here.
Thank you. And for the benefit of anyone who may have joined us in progress, what we've done so far is we've discussed the the general layout, the concept ideas for the Civic Center, and we've now looked into the question component of this discussion. So if you have any questions, particularly regarding this project, Mr. Wong, Alvin Wong here is the lead architect.
Are those sculptures designed to be in the grassy patch or the cement area?
I think we would work with you to do it, but I think that we'll probably have to have some access to it from an accessibility standpoint. Yeah.
Nice. Exciting. Very exciting. Any time frame on all that other area that's not going to be developed right now?
Yeah, there is none. It's unfunded right now. Yeah, so I think it's a great layout. We've always wanted to kind of see what it looks like ultimately, but right now, none of it outside of what we just seen. None of the other parts are are currently funded.
You know what the fence is like around that water treatment plant? Is it just
So this plant's actually a block wall. So it's out there now. This plant's out there now. This is a complete CMU block wall.
okay?
I think it's about 8 feet high on all sides, and then they have some gates along the Civic Center that you can get in. You can see that now. This one, the well site, actually doesn't have any fence around it. So as part of our project, we're going to go ahead and landscape around it. We still need to maintain vehicle access for them to maintain the well. And so, but our idea is just to let that building just sit the way it is, but landscape nicely around it.
The one down there.
Yeah, right.
The one up there, I'm just thinking about that two long walls on that water treatment plant up there. Are they gonna be covered with shrubbery and trees?
Yeah.
Or will they be visible?
We'll have landscaping. I think you will see, you will see it, but the landscapes usually, even when they're mature, they don't, the ground cover and sort of the shrubs, they probably don't get much higher than 4 or 5 feet. And then we have trees along the edge here, so I'm sure you'll be able to see that wall, even down the road, years down the road. Over here, we're not developing anything. Actually, maybe what I should do is move to this building. This is what we're actually building. So we're not covering any of it around this edge. That'll be a future phase. Sort of just disappears. It's kind of a neutral color. No, you won't notice it too much. Unless you're thinking about a mural there.
Yeah, when you hear about a long blank wall, you start thinking of
Yeah.
what can be done with it.
It might be a little bit too much vegetation to, given enough time, it might cover enough of it. It would not be the right opportunity. But there will be other opportunities. So the city's has a requirement for public art. So as other projects come on board, there's going to be other opportunities. So this isn't necessarily. These are the opportunities that go along with what's currently funded. So say, for example, if the library came down the road, a portion of that cost would be allocated to public art. Same goes for any other buildings that we may do down the road if it gets funded. I should mention something actually important. It won't affect the artist, but one thing I forgot to mention is that if you notice, if you go out there today, you will see an existing 50 feet of swath of turf that's parallel to the street out there right now. And the reason that we deliberately stayed away from that, not touched it, is that is the future transit corridor. So potentially light rail may come down at someday down the road. So we deliberately maintain the setback and not touch any of that corridor right there. With the exception of this, we had to have a formal entry into the sort of a connection point into the public right of way. Any other questions?
Well, Alvin, thank you very much for all the information and your time, and thank you very much to the bank and the monitor. If there are no further questions or discussion on this, then we'll go ahead and conclude the session. I want to thank everybody for their time and participation this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks.